All right, everybody. What up, sports here? We're back. We've been gone for a little bit. We did a little different things. I
Little
moved to
bit.
state. Chris and Rob are back here with What Up Sports, and we're just doing some little different things, trying to reconnect and do what we do best is just sit and talk about sports, things
Yeah.
that we think about it. And we've been listening to a lot of people. One of the big things that we wanted to do is just bring our little turn of thoughts into different things. So it was our first show back. So Chris, welcome back. And
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Rob, welcome back to you.
that's right. Thank you very much. So we've
Yeah.
gone on to do our own little things, but one of the
Oh,
things, this first show we wanted to start with because this last weekend,
yeah. Whoa.
oh my gosh.
Brawl weekend. I mean, rivalry week. Rival. I can't even say it. It's Brawl weekend. Let's just say it like it is.
So we got
You
to
know?
talk about like the sanctity of the game and sportsmanship. And
Oh,
so
there is none anymore.
yeah. So to bring it up to speed, anybody who's watching this show, if you didn't see this weekend, at the end of these rivalry games, it was rivalry weekend. So kind of started off with Michigan and Ohio State, right?
Yep.
And after the game, Michigan wanted to plant their flag, their Michigan flag, right on the O.
He had the opportunity to do it and he didn't do it. He was just waving the flag. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna fight for that one.
So obviously, Ohio State didn't appreciate that, very much, and I think they've lost three in a row to Michigan now, and they were number two in the nation. So this is a big, big deal. But getting rubbed it in your face at the end of the game, I think. I mean, I don't know how you'd handle it. How would you handle it if you had another team do whatever sport it is? How would you handle that? How would you kind of treat that?
Me, I would sit there and I'd just be First of all, I probably would throw punches. You know me, I would probably definitely throw punches. But in this day and age, with everything that's out there, the social media and people that want to put you down for no matter what and how you want to do, I'm going to sit there and say that you've got to be class act both ways. You win
Absolutely.
with class, you lose with dignity. And we didn't see any of that this weekend, period. But I will say, like, I'm going to go back, excuse me. I am going to go back. And one thing I will say is that it did not look like the Michigan player was going to slam the flag in the middle of the field. It looked like he was just going to run around, and Ohio State started the brawl. I mean, let's just throw that out there. They're the ones that started the brawl. Now, if the intentions of the not Michigan State, University of Michigan Wolverines player was to slam the flag in the middle of the Ohio State, that's just straight up classless. Let's be honest there. That is straight up classless. But Ohio State does have a history of wanting to start brawls when they lose, no matter how many years it's been. I mean, I can count back countlessly to how many times I've seen them want to start fights at end of games because they lose, because they don't know how. They haven't learned. Their coaches haven't taught them, obviously, because they were poor losers. Let's be honest there. Straight up poor losers.
Okay, so this also goes back to the fact that this isn't the first time in history. I mean, you have to consider the TO, spiking the ball on the star.
Yeah.
It started a brawl.
Oh,
So
God, yeah. And he
Michigan
deserved that.
owned up to
I
the fact
mean,
they were trying to do something too. You know,
yeah.
so there's a lot to that. We've covered high school sports, right? And
Yes.
I've been on the fields where good, hard fought out. I'm going to give one a props. We covered a lot of Whitney High School,
Yeah.
but Antelope and Whitney were rivals and they battled and there were always amazing games. Antelope tended to always pull it out somehow. I think the
Yeah.
triple overtime and the fog that we saw, and Whitney was just incredible. Antelope came back. The thing that I loved about, I give total props to the Antelope kids and to the coaches for teaching these kids. The Whitney kids were crying after the game. And you know
Yeah.
what? Those Antelope kids came over, picked them off the ground, told them to keep their chin up, and gave them hugs. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we should be seeing, right?
Yeah.
A rivalry is a rivalry, but we've also seen where it's gone the other direction. So This
Oh
week,
yeah,
there were three brawls because people were trying to do something with their flag and showboat after a game. And
oh yeah. There were
Ohio State might have started the brawl, but the insinuation or the reactions by that other team that won, that was visiting, but somebody's home, you know?
yeah,
And
my house.
there's a point to where you don't, right? So
Yeah.
Michigan, I think it's 100% blame on this one
Okay, that's fair. I can see that.
because Michigan could win with class, right? Huge
Yeah.
celebrate. That's fine. Don't show up the other team. Don't do that because
No,
it is a game, right? We're
it
out
is.
to have fun. It was an amazing game. Actually, it was terribly played, but ultimately an amazing game. If you watch the game, there were so many mistakes by both teams,
Oh yeah.
but ended up in one of the greatest games because of it and just really close. And then really it ruined Ohio State's chances at the playoff. Well, a really good position. They were number two behind
Oh
Oregon, right?
yeah. But what I find funny is they fall like three spaces and it's the Ohio State thing. I mean, Ohio State could be 0-47 and they'd still be in the top 10. Let's be honest.
Right. So there's sportsmanship in sports, but that's what it really should be. And it's going to lead into some of our other shows where we talk about like how games have changed and how games have not changed. There's been brutal stuff that's happened in the past. So you
Oh,
can't say like, oh, back in the old days, everything. I mean, you got to look at how, we're talking about sportsmanship. So we can carry over this conversation into, pitchers beating players because they stood too long to watch a home run or, I mean, you're the baseball guy, right? So we can totally
oh
lean.
yeah. Ear hole. Bam. Goodbye. See ya.
So
Thanks for
where is your limit when it comes to that kind of thing? Let's go into baseball. Let's talk about that sportsmanship of like, what's the line?
before we go into baseball, I do kind of want to go back
Okay, let's go back.
because there was something that I saw, and I think it was on ESPN, and when Baker Mayfield was still at Oklahoma, and he threw the flag into the center. I want to say it was Texas's or the Red River Classic, whatever stadium they play at when they do that. I know it's not at Texas or at Oklahoma. So, but they kept referring to that, ESPN did, and they kept saying that this was the start of it. This was the start of it. And I'm kind of like, no, that was not the start of it. It was T.O. way back when he tried to go onto the Star in Dallas. And I'm sitting there, my Twitter, just joking around, messing around. And everybody else, oh, no, it was because of Baker. I'm all, no, Baker is just a natural progression of what happened with T.O. and go from there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
No,
now,
what other, I mean, is it before TO was the catalyst of where it all kind of came, right? I can't think before where it was something that egregious that
yeah,
TO was wild, right?
yeah, he was. I mean, you had Ray Lewis who did his little dance. You had Mark Gastineau. You had a LT, but nothing like that. I
Right.
mean, Matt Millen after a game punched the GM of the Patriots back in the early '80s when he was with the Raiders. I remember that, but I
Not, it
mean,
wasn't as big of a scale. Like you can talk about AJ Przinsky and the dirty things that he did as a catcher, right? But
yeah,
at the scale of things, if people miss that he used to punch people I think it was his trainer and said, "Hey, does this hurt?" And he punched the trainer in the nuts. And the
yep,
does this hurt? So he was just a jerk.
yeah,
But if AJ Przinsky is watching this, yes, you were a jerk. But, but the reality is at this scale, it was the TO thing,
yeah,
right? And
oh
then
yeah,
and then people take that and run, and you've seen it even in high school. They do the showboating and they do all
oh
that.
they do.
We were at a game. It was Lincoln High School and Placer. No, Del Oro and Lincoln playoff game, and after the game, the entire sideline came over, and even the coach did the X thing in front of his groin to the thing. He was suspended for the
Yeah,
rest of the playoffs. So these things have gone from they watch it from the big guys and bring it all the way down to the bottom. So,
they do.
the sportsmanship. What have we seen where you can see that there is good sportsmanship after a game, right? So coaches have had these problems. Harbaugh had a problem against the Detroit Lions coach because he shook his hand too hard, and
Yeah.
right. So we're always going to have this, but we never had it to this extreme like it did this weekend. There were what, 3 games that had brawls purely because
More. There ended up being more that kept coming in. I stopped count after like 6.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that bad.
I think our biggest question is if people comment down below, what their thoughts are on sportsmanship. What do you think? Because it's so big, it was so big this weekend. Do you think it gets bigger, or how do we kind of nip it in the bud? And like those kind of things. Where are we at in sports these days? Because I don't think it gets better.
I think it starts with the parents personally. And as you know, and I know, I've coached for many years, from little dudes all the way up to college ball, was fortunate enough to work with some professional athletes. And man, it really starts with the parents, because there is that break off between it's about 14 years old. That's what I noticed. And you start to see the kids that are really good and the kids that aren't as good. They're not going to move on. They're not going to play. So the ones that aren't as good start bad mouthing the ones that are good, and it just starts a snowball effect. And you see the negativity, and they try to make their kid look better because they know little Bobby or little Susie aren't that good, and they're not going to move on. I mean, that's just the facts. I mean, physically, they're not able to.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. They just don't have that talent. Or the big one, that's what I like to go to, is they don't want to put in the work.
Yeah.
And you have to put in the work. And if you don't put in the work, you're not going to become better, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, what happens is, little Bobby isn't that good. He doesn't want to put in the work, so he starts bad mouthing his player. And then when that happens, like I said, I'm going to go back to the snowball again. He becomes a virus on the bench, which extrapolates out and starts going to a virus towards the other teams. And if you have ever gone to a tournament, especially boys, their machismo factor is off the hook. I mean, if there was a scale, it'd be like, it is horrible. And what's funny is the parents are feeding this, and it's sad to see. I've always said this, if you take the parents out of the game, the kids would be 100% better than what they are or what they will ever be.
Mm.
And that's sad.
So we're going to get up to the end of the wall of this show. We'll have to go on to our next shows and stuff like that coming up. But this is a great topic. And hopefully, as people comment and get involved in this, maybe we can bring this conversation back with some stuff that people have brought in our comments. So
we may have to go to a part 2, because you started bringing up baseball and my mind just started going, dang, 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 dang.
And it's going to run into other shows like our NIL and how that changed things.
Oh yeah,
we got some shows coming up that are going to be exciting, and the Hall of Fame and that stuff. So all that stuff's coming, you guys. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to follow us. If you like us, great. If you don't, go ahead and comment. We don't mind getting started. That we're just back, and this is our first show. We're going to try and make it better. We're going to try and bring in some guests so they can have some opinions too as well. If you guys want to comment, want to be a guest and be a part of our show, we'd love to have you on. We'd love to bring people on and have the same kind of discussions we're having right now. So we're going to catch you on the next show. Thank you for being here. We could have obviously gone deeper, but we want to keep these where people want to, we're not going to go on for hours on these things. We want to make these as, we already went way beyond what we were going to do, but oh well, that's what we do.
I want to talk about the fines in the next show.
That's right. There we go. All right. On our next show, we'll see you. Thanks for joining us here. Comment below if you want to be a guest and a part of us on our panel. We'd love to have you on here. Just reach out to us through here, and we'll reach out to you. And we'll have you here on What Up Sports. Talk to you soon.